Pigeons? Who needs them? Flying rats? Not so. They are of the prettiest, brightest birds that have ever flown, marshalling here in the Thames Estuary, where once they prepared for war. Today they're gathering to remember war, the First World War, and their role in it.
They are so durable and they're such a brave little bird. It can be shot, which happened in the First World War, and as long as it can fly, it will carry on, and it just keeps going and going and going. As you can see, this one's just a lovely
beautiful.
a white wing on there.
Aren't you a beauty? How amazing that they played such a role. With planes flying in war for the first time, pilots carried a pigeon in their cockpit in case they were shot down.
The last communication that they could use was put a pigeon message and let it go. It would then fly back with the coordinates of where they was landed or where they're ditched, and then they could be rescued.
What about the reason for flying at night or at dusk?
Biggest thing to a pigeon is their enemy is the hawk.
German hawks.
Hawks, yes. And also for the German snipers on the front line, in the dark they couldn't see the birds go.
It's that fact that is at the core of where this remembrance of war meets art.
For me, I can watch birds flying in the sky for hours.
These pigeons have been settling here on a vast specially created coop for 3 full months to enable the American artist Duke Riley to deploy them in a most remarkable art form. It wasn't war that turned him onto pigeons, it was running away from home and living in a pigeon coop.
During that time when I was living in the pigeon coop, and I was kind of observing them all the time, they started to enter into my work at that point in time.
The commission charged with the remembrance of the 1418 war heard about him and asked him to create a spectacle here.
The First World War was a time when the very fact that pigeons were being used and played such an important role in that time period was specific to the fact that there was this point in time where all of these different forms of technology were moving incredibly fast, where you had all of these mechanisms of destruction that did not exist before in the forms of planes and submarines and giant cannons and poison gas and all types of things. But the ways that people were able to communicate were still extremely limited.
As night falls, the lights burn brightly in the coop. 1,500 birds are being prepared with tiny LED lights attached. They gather on the roof, ready for takeoff. And suddenly the night sky is illuminated with formations of lights, as if with little planes, and yet, in reality, those extraordinary pigeons scudding into glorious patterns. Flag-waving signallers on the roof to keep them aloft, summoning thoughts from the artist about the nature of war.
What war is becoming is more about, not necessarily about the amount of people that you can kill with weapons, but the amount of people that you can control.
Yes, war and art, fused in memory of those men and women who died in what they called the Great War. And yes, amid the darkness, the role those thousands of pigeons played in the war that was supposed to end all wars.